Hello, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the top 5 ways that you can easily access flow. Kicking off with tip number 1. Start to integrate activities into your day that already lend themselves to flow. This top tip comes from the Hungarian psychologist who first discovered flow back in the 1970s, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And he found that people commonly experience flow in activities like board games, sports, cooking, dancing, because those type of activities already have the formula for flow integrated into them. So we're more likely to experience flow as a result. That's perhaps why during the lockdown in the pandemic that we saw so many people baking banana bread and learning TikTok dances and dusting off those board games, because they were getting the benefits of flow, which include, that's where your inner critic dissolves. So you don't have that worry and rumination and that little voice that's chattering away to you in your head. When we're in flow, our action and awareness merge, so we're just totally absorbed in the task at hand. So it just gives us that break from that voice and that worry. More than that, our happiness increases as a result. So it's a beautiful little happiness boost as well. So start to think about how you could integrate and carve out some time for those activities that lend themselves to flow. Make some time for them and then really feel the benefits of being able to just turn off that inner critic, be fully present in the now, and give yourself that nice little happiness boost as well. That's a perfect little cheat. Number 2 is take time to cultivate some unified flow so that you can close the gap between your working self and your higher self or your real self, and really start to really start to fulfill your potential. Now, how do you elicit unified flow? Again, the great thing about the psychology of flow is there is a roadmap for it, or a formula. And the formula for unified flow, again, as identified by the godfather of flow, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, is when we have a large, personally compelling goal, so something that we want to achieve, something that we feel intuitively drawn to, something that we want to do. It could be, write a book, get healthier, set up that business that you want, whatever is right for you and you feel drawn to. Set that large, personally compelling goal from which all other smaller goals logically follow. Then we experience life as a flow experience. Every thought, every perception, every action is in alignment with the vision that we have for our lives. And in that way, then we begin to close the gap between our working self and that higher or that real self. We start to move closer to that. We pull ourselves into this place of alignment, shedding all that stuff of who we should be and actually coming back to who we really are, finding our own unique flow and sharing our unique set of gifts and talents. This is a beautiful state to live in and create. It really creates this beautiful sense of ease and flow, this feeling that you're right where you're meant to be, whilst taking those small little micro steps towards designing and architecting your future. And it's here really that psychologists say that, our past, our present, and our future are in alignment. They're this beautiful holistic experience that makes sense. So why not carve out a little bit of time to think about a large, personally compelling goal for you? Take that time to revisit maybe some old dreams, some projects that you feel a little bit scared and a little bit frightened to tackle, but you really, really feel drawn to them. It's something that you've always wanted to do. Set that large goal, and then using the journal system for flow, set the smaller goals that align with it using your high flow priorities, so that can bring you into that place of unified flow on a daily basis. And that's really the science and psychology of that lovely sense of alignment. This will really help you live in flow. Tip number 3, become the scientist in your own life. This is where I really, really want to encourage you to get out of the waiting room and into the flow lab and start taking curious, messy action towards what you want. So often we can sit in that waiting room just waiting for someone to save us, for someone to, come and tell us all the answers and say, this is exactly what you need to do. Just follow this, and this, and then you will be happy and everything will be great. And here is your purpose. I know when I was really struggling to figure out who I am, what I want in my life, where am I going, that was the exact thing that I wished for. I just wanted someone to tell me so that I could, get on with it. But no one's coming to save you. Got to find those answers for yourself. You've got to stack the odds in your favor by taking those curious actions, by putting yourself out there and allowing those synchronicities to increase, to invite those people and opportunities to come in and give you a helping hand, rather than just sitting, waiting, and not kind of putting anything out there that is going to pave that way for flow. So think about small actions that you can take that feel right for you, that aren't going to, push you into a state of anxiety or overwhelm, but aren't too easy, that are going to cause you boredom. Rather, in flow, we call this the flow channel, the sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, where the challenge feels just right, and you're able to take that small action at a pace that feels right for you, and then find your flow. So get curious. Think of one thing you can do today that you could maybe see if it elicits flow for you, and stop waiting. Stop waiting. The journey starts today. Number 4, and this may feel like a little bit counterintuitive in some ways, but it is break down the resistance. What do I mean by that? Well, in flow, it is natural that we're going to come across some blocks in that kind of flow channel, some rocks in the river that are going to really kind of stop us from moving forward. And the temptation is, when we kind of come across those things, like a limiting belief, a fear that we're not good enough, a fear of looking silly, a sense of shame, that those bits of self-doubt, the temptation is just to turn away from that and start to swim upstream, because it makes it feel uncomfortable. But an essential ingredient and part of flow is actually just being with that resistance. It's looking at it right in the face and saying, okay, fear, let's have a conversation. Why are you here? Where did you come from? How can I better work with you? And really start to tap in and get to the root of that issue. So tackling your resistance right now, if you feel a lot of resistance coming up, if you feel a lot of self-doubt, a lot of fear, don't turn away from it. Try the best as you can to get comfortable with it. Fear and those negative emotions are there to teach us something. And quite often they're there to teach us that there is something inside of us that doesn't belong there. There is a limiting belief and a fear and a self-doubt that we have learned as part of our working self, as part of that conditioning that's being put in there, and now you need to remove it because it doesn't belong. And if you're going to flow towards your potential and become who you truly are, then a key part of flow is really tackling what doesn't belong, removing those rocks out of your river so that you can flow with greater ease towards your potential, towards being who you really, really are. Point number 5, surrender. This can be really hard for us to do. Because we don't like it. We like to be in control as human beings. We don't like uncertainty. However, surrender can be just such a gift. It is really that part of focusing on what you have, what you can control, and then releasing the outcome and the attachment to the outcome. So when you're eliciting that sense of unified flow, for example, and you're working and taking those small actions towards your goals and dreams, and you're in that sense of alignment, that's all you can do. What then happens to that action is outside of your control. And you've got to trust the process. You've got to trust that everything is happening for the right reasons and at the right time for you. So release that sense of control and just surrender the process. And to be clear, surrender isn't about not doing anything. It's not about that. It's not about not taking any action. It's about taking that action, taking that curious, messy action at a pace that's right for you, and then releasing your attachment to the outcome. You know, sending that book proposal and releasing the outcome as to whether or not the publisher comes back. You know, going to that job interview and doing your best to show them that you are the right person for the job, and then releasing the outcome that the panel will have, and knowing that you did your best and getting that fulfillment from the set from the place of, I did my best with my current level of ability, and I trust the timing of my life, and I surrender. Because trying to channel all that cognitive energy into something that you can't control is a total and utter waste. It's just a waste of your mental energy. So really try to practice and cultivate that sense of surrender. Focus on what you can control and release the things that you can't. They're my top 5 tips for simple and easy ways to find your flow. Of course, you'll find a lot more information on flow, the psychology behind flow, and how we can live in more flow in our lives on this channel. I would encourage you to watch some of the videos, particularly if you haven't seen the ones about flow or unified flow or the overview of the journal system, some of the things that I've touched on in this video, then go check them out. Equally, if you want to learn more about the book, Find Your Flow, the simple and life-changing practice for a happier you, you're curious about the journal system for flow and the psychology behind it and how you can consistently live and structure your day around more flow, then you can check this out over at findyourflowthebook.com. I would love to hear your top tips on how you elicit flow. Please share them with me in the comments below, and I'll chat with you soon.